Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're coming from. We are on today, and I'm trying to think the last time I went on live. It's been a long time since I've been on live. I don't know. But I'm super excited to be here nonetheless. Peace, y'all. What's up? What's up? Greetings. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about what is calling you. What's your calling? How do you know it's your calling? We have a super special guest today who I will just go ahead and introduce so that we can, just jump right into it. One, in the chat, if y'all can put in, how is your heart today? How is your heart, dear one, for those who are here with us? Our guest today is Denise. Denise is a alumni of both part 1 and part 2 of my traditional birth worker training. And she's also in our Mama Meetup community. And she is a birth worker in the Bay Area, located in the South Bay. Yes, and she's here right now. While taking part 1. I remember one morning on our Sunday calls, she's like, I'm pretty sure I'm in labor, y'all, so I'm not going to be able to be on here for much longer. So, yeah, she has a beautiful baby and had a beautiful birth experience. Hold on, let me see. There we go. And she's many things outside of that. I think what's dope is that a lot of people, when they get called to birth work, they've already had some other things. Birth work may be the side quest, or maybe you've gone through other side quests, and now you are, saying yes to the birth work, which is like the main foundational medicine. Hey, Denise, I accepted for you to join us. I don't know why it's not letting me. It says that Denise cannot join, but it's not saying why you can't join. Let's see if I ask you. I wonder why you're saying you can't join. Here we go.
Hi.
We did it.
We
I was like,
did it. Divine timing as always.
yes.
We're on divine time.
It was 11:11 on my side of town.
Okay. Then it's meant to be.
Exactly. I was like, we're good. We're all good. It's 11:11 right now.
Yes. How
Um,
are you, Mama
I'm
Sumi?
doing really good. How are you?
I am flowing. Flowing. Always. Try.
Always. Yes, you are flowing, and you are also glowing, girl.
Oh, thank you. It's the lighting. I had to choose a good spot,
Yes,
you know.
I know. I tried to
Can't
say.
always show the mama eyes.
I know. That's so funny you say that. I just looked at a picture of myself from like my first was like maybe less than 6 months old. I was like, ooh, those eyes was just telling the whole story.
You know how like there's this trend right now, it's like eyelash blindness and eyebrow blindness. I feel like it's mama blindness where we we don't know what we look like, what we're doing.
No,
It's
for
just
real.
all a blur.
For real, for real. Yes. So thank you for making time to jump on today. And hi to baby.
Yes, baby
Yeah.
knew. Baby woke up. He was napping. He's like, "Oh, we're on live. Okay, I'm here."
Yes, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Always. Always, always. Yeah, I'm super excited to catch up. I actually haven't seen you in a little bit of time now. I was introducing you a little bit. I was going to go in to say that, birth work, sometimes it's the side quest, and
Mm.
sometimes it's the main. And I was just saying how you have like skills in lots of different areas, from like marketing to like Reiki, um, and how birth work is now also a part of that trajectory. We'll get in to see, is birth work the main boo? Is birth work the side piece? But I'm super excited to hear how you're integrating it all because I know that particularly since last year, it's like almost a year now, since we got
Crazy.
together
Yeah.
for the immersion last year, that a lot has transpired for you. That a
Mm-hmm.
lot has transpired, yeah. So, if you want to start off just saying maybe a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do,
Yeah.
and yeah, just anything you think is important to lead with.
Of course. And first off, thank you so much for always holding space for us. Like, you are like our true mama and queen of this community. So I'm honored to even be here. So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone. My name is Denise. I am, as Sumi said, a mama, a birth worker, brand sage, and quantum healer. I'm based in San Jose, California. And yeah, just experiencing life and the calling and answering the calling. And like Sumi said, I'm kind of multifaceted and multi-archetype, if you will. And I kind of like it in that way because I'm not restricted to just doing one thing and kind of feeling like I have to only be one type of person. I think it's just like you said, whenever there's a calling, we just show up and intuitively, ancestrally, we're just there to be a vessel, a witness, hold space, all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the big question, how do you know you're called to birth work?
Oh, I love that you sent this question because I was like reflecting on just that whole experience, and I love
Mm-hmm.
telling it to people as well because yeah, it's there are so many different ways that people enter this type of work. And so for me, I got pregnant in 2022, and I knew even before I got pregnant that I was wanting to have birth work support. This is just the way that I was like kind of living my lifestyle at that point, just very holistic. I was like growing up in LA or spending my time in LA, and just yeah, just I felt intuitively called to have that support. Yes, you want to say hi? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I started my search as soon as I got pregnant and was having like a pretty hard time, like finding a specific type of birth work support, which was somebody who was a person of color, somebody who was just like ancestrally led, like wisdom wise, intuitively led, natural birthing. Come on, let's sit. Um, and yeah, I think because of my search and how difficult it was, I was starting to feel a little bit like, I guess, like defeated and lost and not sure where to even start. I was overwhelmed. And I just started like thinking like, damn, like I might just in case need to like have this knowledge in case I don't find anybody, just so I can like show up for myself. Because again, like I was just feeling like just lost in the process. I would spend like days and nights like on Instagram, on Google, on Yelp, and I was like, nothing is clicking for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like came across your page and your wealth of resources and your offering of the part one and part two. And I was like, okay, like this has fallen into my lap. I'm gonna like take on this education just for myself, not even knowing like, oh, I want to be a birth worker or I want to do this and that. So I really just kind of selfishly did it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then got connected with the beautiful community that you created and all the different birth workers and healers in that space. Yeah, I think I was just so inspired by all the different ways that people were showing up for each other that it like made me want to show up for my community in that way. So I wanted to be there for my friends, my family as they're going through this like initiation and ceremony of their own. And I got connected to Helena as well, who ended up supporting me during my birth, and also Dulce, who is also an alumni as well. So yeah, that was the calling, was me just going through my own birth ceremony and understanding that like ancestral wisdom is so important to like hold and pass on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how that started.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that. I do know that like he came like maybe we had like 6 weeks, no more than 8 weeks left of the program. He came like in March, I believe, right? Right? Oh,
February, early February.
okay, February. So then we would have had until about April when the class was going to be closing.
Yeah,
So
because I think at
yeah,
that point we were like in the point of like independent study and like
yeah.
doing a lot
Oh,
of our,
okay.
yeah. So we weren't having as many Zooms towards the end, and then we worked
Mhm.
towards like our closing Zoom.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Okay. I just remember just one day being like, I don't know who told me. Maybe it was you and checking. It was like, yeah, my water broke. Like
No, I
I'm
was
in.
totally fully online, and I was like, "Oh, let me just tap into this Zoom call real quick." Like, everyone's like, "Oh, you're not gonna give birth until tomorrow," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Okay, so like, I'm chilling." And then like, yeah, things just were like going. It was a
Yeah.
full moon that day,
Yep.
so you know how
Yep.
those go.
Right. And I think I probably said that. I was like, girl, it's the full moon. You better watch out. Like, I'm pretty sure I said something because
Yeah,
those full moon babies don't be playing. Like, you
yeah.
definitely, like, they don't,
They
yeah.
make it known, and it was a Leo full moon in Leo that
Oh,
that
wow.
day, so they love their entrance.
I love that. My first also was born full moon in Leo. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
full moon Leo. Yeah, I probably told you that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I think that our own birthing experiences bring many of us to the work. I would say like 95% of people are coming to birth work through their own birthing experiences.
Mm,
And it's for a varying reason why what that would look like for people. But like, I think many people are called because they're like, maybe they didn't have the support or because they did have the support, you know?
right.
Or maybe they had a really traumatic birth experience and through their own healing process, they're like, I want to make sure that no one else, as far as I can help it, ever feels how I felt. Isolated, abandoned, confused, tricked, manipulated, all these ways
Right.
people can feel walking away from their birth experience. And I think that sometimes it's looked at, of course, like, oh, you don't want to be projecting or enmeshing with people, trauma bonding. But I think that as long as you're doing your work, then it's absolutely like, it could be a very empowering position for many people to walk, into birth work in that position of like, yeah, I'm here because I want to heal. I'm clear about that, but also
Hmm.
boundaries. I think it's possible to do both.
Totally.
Okay, so I'm very curious. What things did you consider in choosing your path? It sounds like it kind of chose you, but also the program to study with. I'm guessing you probably saw some options. I'm just wondering, like, I think a lot of people are kind of overwhelmed with the options at
Yeah.
times, or they just don't know, like, how do I know this is a good fit for me?
Right. I feel like my discovering of you, like you said, it was a very clear path. Like
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's because I knew exactly what type of program I was looking for. And I didn't even know if it existed necessarily. I just knew like, hey, these are like the things that are super important to me, which is it needs to be led by a person of color. It needs to have some tie-in of like holistic healing, quantum healing, or just that ancestral healing that we do. Um, and it needs to be like grounded in like the way that we all used to give birth, the way that our ancestors used to give birth.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want it to feel too much like an education course, if you will, if that makes sense. Like I didn't want to be like a textbook of information. Like I wanted it to help like I guess just help me reconnect to
Mm-hmm.
what is already ancestrally out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was already there,
Yeah.
and I often say that I can't. Nobody believes this. I can't teach you to be a birth worker. I
Mhm.
can't teach
Yeah.
you to be a doula. I can't teach you to be a midwife. But what I can do is provide some space for you to awaken what's laying dormant in your DNA already,
Mhm.
right? Like we're born birth workers. Like most of us, when we look at our childhood up to the point, early adulthood, up to the point where we're saying yes, and we're activating that, the medicine, it's almost like this weird thing of like, I already know this.
Mhm.
It's like not like learning something new. It's like when you go into like, I don't know, a physics class or chemistry. Oh, we have to take all these notes, new concepts, new words, new ways of thinking. You're like, okay, I have to learn all the different, rules. Whereas birth work, for many of us, I feel like it's how you know it's your calling. It feels like you're being reminded. Feels like
Yeah.
I did this before. Like it feels like pieces of you are coming back to wholeness. Like I feel like more myself actually. I feel
Totally.
like more aligned, like so many other things in my life are starting to align now that I'm fully, saying yes to this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you on like not wanting to be all cerebral and intellectual and really wanting something that can hold space for that reality.
Yeah. And you do that so beautifully for us. So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, so I think it's dope that you took both part one and part two. Um, and I'm wondering, particularly because you've taken both, how did part two prepare you to do the work? 'Cause I noticed something. I noticed that after you took part one, I know also the baby was younger, but you didn't feel a lot of confidence in really stepping out there and really like offering like you
Yeah.
did after
Yeah.
part two. Like
Yeah.
I saw a huge difference. You're like, hey, I have a client. Hey, I have a mama. I'm like, okay, Denise. Okay, Denise. Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is like, oh, the difference between part one and part two. I think part one, like you like know the information and like yeah, you're still kind of like absorbing it. And I feel like part two is like your way of like activating the commitment. It's like part one is like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm feeling it out. Like, can I do this? Can I not? And then part two is like, okay, I'm taking this a little bit more seriously because I'm dedicating a week, 9 days to being here, showing up every day, accepting and honoring the shadow work that is required of us so that you can be the person that you need to be. And yeah, I feel like part two, like it really cannot be done online. Like
Mm-mm.
hands on, like it really, really does have to be hands on and in person. Um, because I don't know, like the magic that you get from just being in community is totally different.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to go to part two again this year because I just love the space. I love the people. I love like I don't know, it's just it reminded me of like I imagine that this is what like our ancestors were doing
Yeah.
back in time. Like we're coming
Yeah.
together, we're learning together, we're healing together, we're cooking together, and then taking care of each other's families. Like it was just such a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's so hard for me to describe part two because so much of it are these like we co-created. It's not like it's only me.
Right.
It's all of us committing to show up. Like how we're all taking care of each other's families. You mentioned that part was so special to me. Like just
Mm-hmm.
seeing us like care for each other's children, those who do not have children, taking our babies. I was very much so pregnant, then everyone making sure I was hydrated, that I was fed. It was just such a beautiful community that made sense of why after y'all were still getting together, going deeper, learning, practicing on each other, using each other as backup, for clients, tapping in, asking questions. And I do agree that it cannot be replicated online. I often say, my team as we're like, it was a word, like yes, preparing, but what's the word? Anyways, but preparing for part two is that these are all the parts that I can't do online.
Mm-hmm.
Like part two is literally like everything that I just can't offer online.
Yeah.
And it's like beyond just so yes, the hands-on experience is like amazing. Like they'll just like physically touch my body, each other's body, get your own body touch. The receiving is really a game changer. Like
Yes.
being able to receive it and then go ahead and do it and then receive it, then do it, then receive, right? Like over and over
Yes.
again. I think that alone is what really supports in the integrating and the embodying of the techniques or the concept or, whatever we're going over.
Yeah, totally. I definitely feel like that helped me prepare to like show up for my clients is just the receiving and understanding um just how to not only like technique wise like understand how to do everything, but just to show up like
Mm-hmm.
purely to hold space. Like we
Mm-hmm.
always hear what holding space means, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't fully understand how that applies. And
Yep.
so to be able to receive allowed us to show like, okay, this is how space can be held.
Mm-hmm.
um and
Mm-hmm.
also I think what also helped me prepare is like, again, just connecting with the community
Yeah.
and like knowing your birth working sisters and siblings and like them being so open and willing to help each other out. Like I think that was just also something that was very magical.
I'm just remembering something right now, a part that I've definitely did not share with y'all before, that I have not shared with anybody, like in this, next phase of letting people know that we're gathering again. Particularly about y'all's cohort, especially, which was the California cohort, because we cook food together.
Hmm.
And I have you all eating postpartum,
Hello.
prenatal and postpartum diet,
Yep.
like for the whole week. And it was dope to see how all y'all were like, oh, dang, this really does support with, elimination to be easier. I slept more solid last night. I feel more hydrated right now. I feel more nourished and more present and grounded right now. I noticed that, um, eating more frequently changed my, I don't know, my digestion this way or that way, or having like a pure nutrient dense diet for a week, how my anxiety has, went down a lot. I think that is so cool because yes, that was on purpose, of course. It's like, yeah, this is why I'm having us eat this way. But I was just blown away at the just after like day two, the response. Everybody's like for check-in, like, I don't know about y'all, but like I have never eliminated like this and I've never slept like this before.
I've never felt gratitude for elimination in the past, and I'm like, damn, I'm so good. I'm so glad I'm going and flowing, and like it feels great. Yeah.
Yes, which is
Yes.
what we want for our clients. It's really important.
Exactly.
It's really,
Yeah.
really important. Yeah. And it's important to feel it. It's important to experience it. Again, that's a different kind of receiving, right? Like, I'm taking care of myself. We talk about self-care and like make sure that we're sustainable in our energy, our inner resources, outer resources. But I think that part two also gives us a chance to really see how we fail ourselves, to see
Hmm.
our own program and our own pattern, to see how we can do better, honestly, because all of our stuff is going to be activated. So you see how you're like worried about everybody else. You're volunteering to do things, but you have not taken care of yourself today.
Yeah.
You haven't eaten. You're not done getting dressed. Are you going to be ready at 9 a.m. when we start? No, you're not, because you were doing for everyone else and no one asked you to do that. So you're over functioning, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to like lovingly and gracefully be held, not go, Denise, go to your room, get yourself together. I encourage everybody to do your morning practices. So people are like doing qigong, they're journaling, they're meditating, they're, you know, talking on the phone with their partner, checking with the kids before the day starts. They're doing whatever they have to do to make sure they can be present,
Right.
which is exactly what we need for us to prevent burnout. I just had someone, I saw they asked, do you feel like burnout's inevitable in birth work? Do you feel like it's inevitable? Because if it's inevitable, I don't want to start.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a birth worker if that's inevitable.
Yeah.
My answer, of course, is no. I don't think it's
Totally.
inevitable. I don't.
Yeah. And that's such a huge part of your part too. If anything, it's like the foundation is just like filling your cup so that you can give from your overflow. That
Mm-hmm.
whenever you said that, that stuck with me like forever. And I was like, damn, like I really need to make sure my cup is filled,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's going out on a walk for myself, feeding myself, making sure, like I can communicate when I'm feeling touched out,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. That's so, yeah, that just really stuck with me. I feel like it's like one of my foundational
Yeah.
values in any work. Like I think it's
Mm-hmm.
something that can be applied like just as an individual. You don't have to be a birth worker to make sure that your cup is filled.
Yep. I think that's just foundational as well. And it's something that I'm like striving for every day. It's not that I'm like some like guru master of any of these things, actually. It's me just inviting you all into like other aspects of the medicine. Like, okay, now that you've gotten this, since I started with a curriculum, it will be 10 years next year, by the way.
Wow.
And I know I can't believe
Congratulations. That's
I,
exciting.
I cannot believe it, but 2015 July was the first cohort, and I remember sitting down and being like, okay, it's like thinking about that. To approach making a whole curriculum about birth work, it's like so many things that you could talk about, of course. So I was like, if I had a sister call me and say I want to be a doula, what would I tell her? And that's how I approached creating the curriculum,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's how I approached it. I have this whole decade. It's just like if you were like my little sister, and you was like, Sumi, I'm trying to get into this, this work. I'm feeling called to it. How would I talk to you? As you know, the curriculum is not very, I mean, although it is pretty dense and it gets pretty scientific in some aspects, it is still very like conversational and colloquial and relatable because that's my intention. I'm just like, yo, Denise, boom, give from your overflow.
Hmm.
Don't give from your cup.
Yeah.
When you start to give from your cup, which is inevitable, pause and replenish. Don't just keep going, 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 going. Right?
Totally.
Yeah. You're doing so good, Mama, by the way. I just want to like give you your
Thank you.
flowers. I know absolutely how it is be balancing mom life and balancing trying to be present, for our passion and our purpose. And I'm just I'm just so proud of you, Denise. And
Oh,
I'm just
thank
so,
you, Sumi.
yeah, I think you
I
are
appreciate
just,
you.
yeah, I appreciate you too. You're blossoming so beautifully in your mothering and your birth work and just really being committed to your authenticity and your truth is just very inspirational because I know that sometimes, especially when we were, I know you had like more of a corporate life before you were a mother, it can be very enticing to go back there, but maybe that's not your full happiness, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
shout
and
out to you.
that's where I'm at too, is just like integrating everything and like trying to figure out, yeah, what do I want to give space and light to?
Yeah.
Like sometimes and I think that's just like a capitalist thing is like, what is our side hustle? What is our side hustle? Like nothing has to ever be just a side thing. Like everything can hold up space. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, maybe they take turns and we don't ever have to just be one thing now and then one thing a different day. Like that's why I love like this era that I'm in where I'm like, yeah, I am a multi-archetype. Like I am
Mm-hmm.
doing all the things and I'm flowing
Yeah.
with that and integrating that. And it all kind
That's
of works together at some point too.
that's so inspirational. Um, I am kind of curious to see what you've been up to, like where are you serving and how are you integrating all the pieces? Like what I know you're a brand sage. You want to talk about that a little
Hmm.
bit. And how is that all connecting with you being a birth worker and being a mom and your quantum healing work? Is it an avenue where is it ever a client where all those things come together? Or is it like you're saying a flow, ebb and flow back and forth?
What's interesting is like I feel like it's like not a coincidence that like my brand sage work and my birth work are like kind of metaphors for each other. So with my brand sage work, I essentially help entrepreneurs like work from a very intuitive place to like build up their own like family legacy brands. So where I guess the parallels come into play is like you're essentially giving birth to your brand. And so, what are all the different foundational things that you need to prepare and do in order to start this legacy of yours from an entrepreneur standpoint? And I feel like I learned so much, ironically, from like my work as a birth worker that I can bring over to like the brand stage work for those clients and vice versa. And a lot of it ends up coming down to like simple things of like following your intuition, communicating with integrity and authenticity and vulnerability, and then just reminding yourself of your higher purpose and your legacy, the thing that you want to leave behind. So yeah, I feel like although they're like technically two different avenues, I show up in the same way that I would for either because
Mhm.
it's all foundational.
Yeah, I love that because my work is also similar. I don't lead as strongly with my business consulting, which I call sacred entrepreneurship coaching, which is similar to Brand Sage. I think it's very
Very,
complementary.
yeah.
But I lead the same as well. It's like when I'm doing my consults for my clients, that's for like, entrepreneur consulting, it's the same thing. Tapping into your intuition, leading with walking in integrity. Like, are you being authentic and true to you? What's your inner being saying? Like, doing so many exercises to help them even connect with and hear their inner being if they're feeling disconnected from it. Um, Not calling it marketing all the time, just saying like storytelling. Like just tell the
Hmm.
story. Tell the story. Like tell your story, tell the story of this offering, how they come to be, why is it important to you? What will they get from, taking it? And just really connecting from the heart with people and knowing that by walking in that type of alignment and integrity, that's what brings the prosperity. That's what brings in and builds the community that create sustainability for, like you said, your family legacy. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. So I would like to know, I have one more question for you. What do you think are like the main takeaways that you took from the immersion?
Mm. I mean, honestly, what has lasted with me since a year ago, which is wild that it's been a year ago, I would
Um,
say main takeaway is understanding how to give from your overflow. Like that is such a strong takeaway that, yeah, like I didn't even realize I was gonna dive into that of like the shadow work and like the healing of that. So that's a huge takeaway. Two, I felt like the main takeaway was like a lot of like reframing around how we show up for others. Like for me, like an example was just like the cooking and the cleaning that we're doing. Sometimes when we're in our own world, like it can feel like a chore, especially like when you're, trying to keep a house like up and running with babies and partners and all that stuff. Like prior to coming into that, I felt like everything was like a chore and I was kind of getting burnt out from it and like not inspired to do that. And then when I came to the immersion part two, there was a reframe around that. It was like, oh, we have the gift and honor of like showing up for our families in this way. And so yeah, just reframing and relearning that and being reconnected and inspired to doing those things because it's medicine for our
mhm,
community. And then the third takeaway would just be the giving and receiving, like the physical giving and receiving and understanding what how to like lean into our intuition when it comes to like the physical support that we're giving to others.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all did amazing. I'm saying, like, not to imagine how powerful that is to just even look over and see how everyone is in their flow. Like
Hmm.
when we're doing our like moments. Like example for those listening would be, say we're learning about prenatal massage. And what happens is I'll talk about it just a little bit, but then I'll like demonstrate it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask for a volunteer. I'm gonna demonstrate some of the movements. I'll give maybe like 5 different like foundational movements that you can do, like motions for prenatal massage. So I'm like, okay, get into your pairs. We already have pairs. And then who's gonna be the receiver? Is gonna be the giver. So then you just go, right? And
Yeah.
you know that you're gonna be the giver receiver. I'm gonna give y'all, okay, 30 minutes to give right now, and then 30 minutes to receive, right?
Mm.
And every time, like every cohort that I had last year, I just was like, are y'all already doing this? And just like secretly not telling me? Like, seriously, it was like so affirming to see that if we just get the space and we just get a little nudge, how we can just blossom.
Yeah.
How we can just blossom,
Yes.
and I remember looking at you so often throughout the week together, just being like, wow, you're really doing this, Denise. Like you're like, because y'all start to just integrate. I'll tell you, integrate your own medicine. Don't just do what I told you to do right now.
Hmm.
Like if you feel like this person needs, you know some tapping or some type of like shaking, breaking up energy or myofascia, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Right? If
Yeah.
like the person needs more like just like from energetic like Reiki type, go for it. Right?
Yep.
that you did grounding for 15 minutes and then you did some touching for your 30 minutes, perfect. And to see all of y'all just over the days confidently do that. And then what happens is that we build up our skills. And at the end, we have closing ceremonies. And you
Hmm.
get to receive a full closing ceremony, then you get to give a full closing ceremony, right? Which is
Yeah.
also why I made it a bit longer this time because as you all know who went last year, we'll be up kind of late in the night trying to get all the closings done, which I think is dope because we're often doing these things at 3 a.m.
Right.
We are not doing these things after we did our qigong and we had our, yoki latte and we're all grounded. That's
Yeah.
not what we're doing. We're not doing these things then. We're doing these
Right.
things when we are tired, when we probably get ear drink a little bit more, when our boobs are filling up from away from our babies, when like these are the real realities of how we're really, practicing this medicine. So I do love that we kind of that part I did not plan for. It took much longer than I anticipated. So each cohort ended like between 1 and 3 a.m. for the
Hmm.
closings. Like
Yeah.
each one from Colombia, Mexico, and for California. I think y'all ended the soonest because by then I knew I was like, okay, we have to start by 3 p.m. y'all because if we don't, we're gonna be here
The
all
wee
night long.
hours of the night.
Yeah. But I'm saying that because wow, I was just touched by seeing y'all blossom. Then I'm like, dang, we had a month together.
We would be healing the whole world.
Yes. Yes, it'll be over. But this is my way of being able to give y'all a taste of like an apprenticeship, you
Hmm.
know? Giving y'all a taste of how we always learned this medicine. It was through doing.
Yeah.
That's when the word immersion came to me to call this is the immersion. It's like the activation, it's the initiation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt
um
all those things just from
wow.
that week alone. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining. I would love to know, are you taking clients right now? Where can we find you? Or you have anything coming, or do you have anything coming up that we should know about? Any offerings or just anything?
all my offerings can be found on my website or my Instagram. Well, my Instagram's there, obviously, y'all can see that. And then my website is Dead Prez, so DDPRZZ dot space. And I have all my offerings there from my brand sage work to my birth work to my quantum healing work. And yeah, always open to receiving, connections with future birth workers or even future clients. I'm always open. I'm just here for the community. So in any way that I can show up, I'm always happy to.
Yes.
And yeah, one of the things that I'm like working on, if there's anybody from like South Bay or San Jose area, I would love to start holding space for other mamas,
Mhm.
just to like come together, go on a walk together, let the kids play, figure it out. Because yeah, I personally haven't come across a community yet. So if there is one that's already existing, I would love to be a part of it and get to know y'all. But yeah, that's just something that hopefully is coming down the works. I know Sumi, I hit you up and I was like, hey, I'm gonna try to figure this thing out. I might hit you up
Yes.
just to get some help. So yeah, those are the things that I've been up to and working on.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you so much, Denise, again for your time. Thank you to Baby for allowing us to borrow his mama.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you for all of the support that's behind that door that allows you to be present right now, because it definitely does take many hands to lift us up. And yeah, I knew I was gonna just feel so full after checking in with
Oh,
you, because that's
thank
always the
you.
vibes, always the case.
Appreciate you.
And yeah, just for those tuning in, we have our kickoff for the part 2 season, which is all this year happening on the fall and winter. So our first one will be in Santa Cruz. It is such an expansion and upgrade from last year, Denise. Something about me is I'm always going to do it better. I'm
I know. I was
always
like,
going
ooh,
to.
9 days and in Santa Cruz. How do
I
I get
know.
there?
It's in Santa Cruz. It's for well, this one. This course is actually 6 days. It's in Santa Cruz, and we had a beautiful donation that's allowed us to make this particular cohort a lot cheaper than the rest of the cohorts, and we also have scholarships scholarships for this cohort.
Beautiful.
We have
Amazing.
5 scholarships. We have 2 for queen size accommodation, so it's great for like if you want to bring you and the baby, for instance, and your partner. And then we have 3 twin size beds accommodations, and it's on 25 acres of land,
Wow.
and it's stewarded by people of color, and it's dedicated to healing. It is such a beautiful and amazing community of people. And we're so grateful to be able to be gifted the opportunity, honestly, to be on this land, and especially just like they have a waterfall. We'll be hiking to a waterfall. We'll be doing a Temescal ceremony.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? It's a huge expansion upgrade from last year. We'll be getting fed some really high vibrational, beautiful food. There'll be a little mini camp for the children that they'll be doing like nature-based art, and they'll be going on little
That's so
hikes
cute.
and going little hikes and doing like some food-based dye, for instance. We'll do like an avocado dye for like with clothes.
God. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're really making me. I'm gonna try to figure out
And
how to get there.
then this is not even it. I'm like, that's why I say I suck at marketing, because like this is not even it. Then for the partners, this is super family friendly. So the
Yes.
partners, my partner is going to be like semi like facilitating just the partners getting together and them having their own experience. And if you wanted to bring, like, say for instance, you're like, hey, I'm a single mom, I have 2 kids, I want to come. Can I bring my mom or my best friend or the godmom? Yeah, yes. This is literally like, I want y'all to know, like, this is for us.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for us to undo all the programming that's been blocking us and stopping us from really being able to do what we're called to do. Right?
Right.
We get to recreate it and redesign it. We get to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
love that you make it like family friendly too, because like I really like last year my partner came, I brought the
mhm,
baby, so like we
mhm.
were all immersed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yep.
even my partner was like, damn, like we need to cook this food at home. And I was
hmm
like, yep, we sure do. And
hmm
we did. So
Yeah, this is for
it's a
the
good
whole
time.
family.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself, my whole family's there. My children will be present. My partner's there as well. My mom's gonna slide through to give my partner some, a relief and a break. And yes, it's been a very beautiful, beautiful gathering. We start on the 28th of August, and it goes into the 3rd of September. Yeah,
Wow.
28th to the 3rd. So we'll be meeting in about 6 weeks. We have seats available still, space still available. We have not announced. We're still accepting the applications for the scholarships. We haven't announced the recipients yet, but we will be doing that in the next 2 weeks. So if y'all are wanting and you need to receive, like, I will be there, but I need a little support with the finances. Come on, we got you. And
Yes.
I'm so grateful that we have opportunity to be this generous. And then we also have a cohort in October. We'll be meeting October 9th to 18th in Mexico, in the Yucatan, in a fishing village called, the name of it is Chicxulub. It's a Mayan fishing village, beautiful location, beachfront. What, like, so fantabulous. It's the same thing. The children will have their own little curriculum, learning side by side with us. The partners, whole family is welcome. And then we'll be going to Ghana in December for the all black cohort. The other 2 cohorts are BIPOC. Ghana cohort is all black. And we only have 2 more seats left for Ghana. Yeah. 2 more seats left
Scoop
for
it up while
Ghana.
y'all can, because it is a life changing experience.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Denise. So I just want to share that all the information for anything that I ever offer is always in my bio. So you can go to my bio to check out. If you have any questions, like, damn, Sumi, I'm trying to be there, just this, or I need to know about this, how will this work? DM me or email us, and we'll be happy to support you to get the clarity that you need before you commit. So thank you, Denise, for being
Thank you,
here with
Sumi.
us.
Appreciate you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good day, y'all. Peace.